Hello and welcome to this video, where we will take an in-depth look at the intense rivalry between Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, and Google's Android operating system. Steve Jobs was a visionary, a genius, and a driving force behind Apple's success. He had a passion for design, user experience, and innovation that was unmatched in the tech industry. However, Jobs also had a deep-seated hatred towards Android, and he saw the operating system as a threat to the iPhone's dominance in the smartphone market. In this video, we will explore the origins of Jobs' bitterness towards Android, the legal battles between Apple and Android, and the legacy of Jobs' passion and determination in the tech industry. We will also analyze the impact of Jobs' hatred on Apple's approach to competition and the tech industry as a whole. To understand Jobs' hatred towards Android, we need to look back to the early days of the smartphone market. In 2007, Google announced its plans to develop a new mobile operating system that would challenge the iPhone's dominance. Jobs was quoted as saying that Android was stolen from Apple's iOS and that the similarities between the two were too close to be a coincidence. He believed that Android was a copycat that threatened the iPhone's position in the market, and he was determined to fight against it every step of the way. Jobs' hatred towards Android was rooted in his passion for design and user experience. He believed that the iPhone was the best smartphone on the market, and he saw Android as a cheap imitation that degraded the quality of the user experience. In 2010, Apple's legal battles with Android began when the company filed a lawsuit against HTC, a smartphone maker that used Android on its devices. Apple argued that HTC had copied the iPhone's user interface and design, and the company sought to ban the sale of HTC's phones in the US. The legal battle between Apple and Android continued for several years, with both companies filing lawsuits and countersuits against each other in various countries around the world. The legal battles were intense, and they often made headlines in the tech industry. Meanwhile, the Android operating system continued to grow in popularity, and it soon became the most widely used mobile operating system in the world. Apple's iPhone sales continued to grow as well, but Jobs' bitterness towards Android remained. In 2011, Jobs passed away after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. Despite his death, the legacy of his passion and determination lived on, and Apple continued its legal battles with Android. However, Jobs' death also marked a turning point for the tech industry. Without Jobs' charismatic leadership and intense focus on design and user experience, Apple's approach to competition changed. The company became more focused on protecting its intellectual property and fighting against perceived threats to its dominance. This shift in Apple's approach to competition had a profound impact on the tech industry. It showed that the company was no longer willing to take risks and embrace new ideas, and it signaled a more conservative and defensive approach to competition. This change in strategy was a stark contrast to Jobs' approach to competition, and it was a reminder that the passion and determination of one person can have a lasting impact on an entire industry. Jobs' legacy will always be remembered as a driving force behind Apple's success, and his passion and determination will continue to inspire future generations of tech pioneers. To better understand the impact of Jobs' hatred towards Android, let's take a closer look at one of the most high-profile legal battles between Apple and Android. In 2012, Apple sued Samsung, the largest manufacturer of Android smartphones, for patent infringement. The lawsuit was one of the largest and most complex in the tech industry, and it lasted for several years. Apple argued that Samsung had copied key features and designs from the iPhone and used them on its Galaxy smartphones. Samsung countered that the patents in question were invalid and that Apple was trying to stifle competition in the smartphone market. The legal battle was intense, and it was closely watched by the tech industry and the public. The outcome of the case would have far-reaching implications for the future of the smartphone market and the tech industry as a whole. In the end, a jury found Samsung guilty of infringing on several of Apple's patents, and the company was ordered to pay over $1 billion in damages. The decision was a major victory for Apple, and it showed that the company was serious about protecting its intellectual property. However, the legal battle with Samsung also had a negative impact on Apple's reputation. The company was criticized for being too aggressive in its approach to competition, and it was seen as a bully trying to crush smaller competitors. Furthermore, the legal battle did little to stop the growth of Android, and the operating system continued to dominate the smartphone market. Apple's iPhone sales continued to grow as well, but the company was no longer seen as the innovative leader that it once was. In conclusion, Steve Jobs' hatred towards Android was rooted in his passion for design and user experience, and it was a reflection of his intense focus on competition. Jobs saw Android as a threat to the iPhone's dominance, and he was determined to fight against it every step of the way. The legal battles between Apple and Android were intense and closely watched by the tech industry, and they had far-reaching implications for the future of the smartphone market and the tech industry as a whole. Jobs' legacy will always be remembered as a driving force behind Apple's success, and his passion and determination will continue to inspire future generations of tech pioneers. However, Jobs' death also marked a turning point for the tech industry, and it showed that the company was no longer willing to take risks and embrace new ideas. Apple's shift in strategy was a stark contrast to Jobs' approach to competition, and it was a reminder that the passion and determination of one person can have a lasting impact on an entire industry. This topic has been making headlines for years, with strong opinions on both sides. But what's the truth behind this claim, and how has Google responded to it? Let's find out. It all started with the late Steve Jobs, who infamously stated that Android was a stolen product. This sparked a debate in the tech community, with many people taking sides. Some claimed that Android was a copycat operating system, while others argued that it was a completely original creation. In recent years, an ex-engineer from Apple has come forward to support Steve Jobs' claims. He stated that he was there when Jobs made the statement and that he believes Android was indeed stolen from Apple. This has only fueled the fire and reignited the debate. Google, on the other hand, has always maintained its stance that Android was not stolen from Apple. They've pointed out that the operating system was developed by a team of engineers who were inspired by the open-source nature of Linux, not Apple. Google has also stated that they have always been transparent about their sources of inspiration and that they've never claimed to have created anything completely original. Despite the evidence, it seems that Apple is still bitter about the whole situation. Some people argue that this bitterness has fueled their legal battles against companies that use Android, including Samsung. They claim that Apple has been using the legal system to stifle competition and protect their own interests. This ongoing debate has had a significant impact on the tech world. It's changed the way people view Android and Apple, and it's also affected the way these companies operate. It's also sparked discussions about intellectual property and the role it plays in the tech industry. In conclusion, the claim that Android was stolen from Apple remains a controversial and emotional topic. With strong opinions on both sides, it's clear that the truth is somewhere in between. While Apple may still be bitter about the situation, it's important to remember that Android has become a major player in the tech world, with millions of users worldwide. Regardless of its origins, Android has made a huge impact and it's here to stay. So, what do you think about the rivalry between Steve Jobs and Android? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.